Leaked footage from inside the Miami Heat facility has everyone talking after fans spotted both Giannis Antetokounmpo and LeBron James in it. The clips are spreading fast, fueling speculation that LeBron could be on his way to Miami. Let me break it down. So here's where it starts. Giannis Antetokounmpo touched down in Miami, and the Heat had cameras there to catch it. The era of Giannis Antetokounmpo in South Beach officially began after he landed, and he said he was raring to work with the Miami Heat and start a new chapter in his career. The Heat didn't hide it. They posted it themselves, but that was just day one. The footage that really set things off came a little later, when cameras caught him walking into the facility for the first time. As an actual member of the team, Antetokounmpo got his first real taste of his new surroundings, seen visiting the Heat locker room and checking out his new jersey for the first time since being acquired in the blockbuster trade with the Milwaukee Bucks. Watch his face in that clip. He's not performing for the camera. He told Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra he wasn't going to lie. He had to get used to it, but he loved it. He was excited and it was going to be good. Then he took to the practice court to get shots up during that first trip to the facility. That's the moment fans clipped and looped over and over. A two-time MVP, fresh off a franchise that had employed him for 13 years, just shooting jumpers alone in a building he'd never called home before. Erik Spoelstra's reaction became its own separate viral moment. The footage of his face while Giannis walked around that locker room got clipped and posted with the caption that it summed up everything about the situation in one look. You had a coach who's built championship rosters out of role players, standing there watching a two-time MVP casually roam his gym, like he already belonged there. Then came the jersey. Someone caught Giannis's actual reaction to seeing his new Heat jersey and locker for the first time, and it was passed around with headlines saying he was left speechless. That's not nothing. This is a guy who won a championship in Milwaukee, who wore one jersey his whole career, standing in front of a completely different color scheme with his own name on it. Now here's where things start connecting to LeBron, because right as this footage was spreading, a name started popping up underneath every single one of these clips: Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Many people shared the arrival video, including an unexpected one posted by Heat Central. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's not a Heat player. He's on the Memphis Grizzlies, but he'd been trying to get a buyout from Memphis after just one season there, and fans immediately started asking if he was hinting at wanting to join Antetokounmpo in Miami. That repost alone wouldn't have meant much, but it landed at the exact moment fans were already primed to look for LeBron connections, because Caldwell-Pope and LeBron won a championship together. One fan's reply under the repost read, "LeBron James, KCP, and Klay Thompson on the way." That single comment turned a routine repost into a full-blown storyline. Within an hour, it wasn't just about Giannis touring a gym anymore. It was about who might be touring that same gym next season. The Heat are among the top candidates to land James, who won a title with Caldwell-Pope on the Lakers back in 2020, and a reunion could be in order if everything falls into place. Caldwell-Pope also won a ring with Denver in 2023, incidentally against the Heat, and he could bring championship experience, shooting, and wing defense to Miami if this all comes together. So think about what actually happened here in real time. A leaked-style clip of Giannis in a locker room turned into a referendum on LeBron's entire free agency, purely because of who liked and shared it. That's the internet doing what it does. But it's also not baseless speculation floating in a vacuum. The Heat had already been positioning themselves for exactly this kind of connection for weeks, because remember, this footage didn't emerge in isolation. It came right on the heels of one of the most dramatic trade sagas the league has seen in years. The Giannis Antetokounmpo trade saga finally ended, with the two-time NBA MVP finding a new home in Miami after 13 months of deliberation. Every camera in that building was primed to catch his every move, because the entire NBA had been waiting on this moment for over a year. And once he actually got there, the footage kept coming. Not just the arrival, not just the locker room. There was a video of Giannis reuniting with Bobby Portis that fans said would break Bucks supporters' hearts all over again. Footage of him revealing how he used to prepare specifically to face his new teammate Bam Adebayo, and clips of him giving LeBron actual public credit and praise amid the swirling pitch to bring James to Miami too. That last one matters most for where this story goes next. Giannis wasn't just existing in the same building where LeBron rumors were swirling. He was actively feeding them. Let's back up and explain why LeBron James is even part of this conversation at all, because that context makes everything hit different. LeBron is a free agent, and the entire league has been treating his decision like the biggest overhang of the summer. Reports suggest James has narrowed his options to 5 teams: the Cleveland Cavaliers, Miami Heat, Philadelphia 76ers, Minnesota Timberwolves, and Golden State Warriors. 2 of those 5 are cities where he already built championship legacies. One of them is Miami. 2 of his suitors are his former teams, the Cavaliers and the Heat. And while plenty of people want to see him go back to Cleveland to finish where it started, others want to see him chase more titles in South Beach. That's not a small detail. This isn't some random team hoping to get lucky. This is a franchise. LeBron already won 2 championships with a front office led by Pat Riley that has never been shy about swinging big for stars. And now suddenly, a roster that already has Giannis on it. That's the actual engine driving all this footage speculation. It's not just LeBron is a free agent and could go anywhere. It's LeBron could go somewhere he's already won, to play with a 2-time MVP who just arrived, on a roster that's already built around size and force. The math writes itself for fans scrolling through leaked locker room clips. But not everyone around the league thinks that math actually works on the court. Gary Payton, who spent real time in that Heat locker room himself as a player, came out and explained why he doesn't think a Miami return makes sense for LeBron at all. Payton pointed out that if LeBron went to Miami now, with Giannis already there, the question becomes where the ball is going to be. The same problem LeBron ran into with the Lakers, where he and Luka Doncic played better without each other than together. That's a real basketball argument, not just noise. 2 players who each need the ball in their hands to be most dangerous. Sharing one offense is exactly the kind of fit question that's followed LeBron for years. Payton wasn't dismissing the idea of LeBron in Miami. He was raising the exact tension that makes this storyline so tense to watch play out. Meanwhile, not every star is staying quiet either. Stephen Curry and Giannis have both remained cryptic on the idea of James joining their respective teams, while Jaylen Brown has openly welcomed the idea of LeBron coming to Philadelphia. So you've got one side that's playing it coy, and another side that's basically rolling out the welcome mat in public. And then there's the pitch nobody expected. Luke Kornet, a backup center for the San Antonio Spurs, put together his own direct video appeal straight to LeBron. He opened it by addressing James directly, referencing an incident where LeBron had apparently gotten on him during a game the year before. Then pivoted into an actual sales pitch. He invited LeBron to come to San Antonio, describing something really special taking shape with a lot of young talent, in a city that's easy to live in and tax-free. He added that LeBron could play alongside another generational player in Victor Wembanyama too, telling him to swing by and see how it feels, because they'd love to have him. Here's the thing though, while there were rumors James could join the Spurs, those murmurs have died down since. Kornet's pitch went viral for being funny and human, but it didn't actually move LeBron's markets the way the Heat's did. Because unlike San Antonio, Miami already has real receipts. Insiders tracking LeBron's markets have specifically flagged the Heat as a franchise that would be a complete contender the moment he gets there, unlike some other suitors who'd still need work to build out a real roster around him. Reports have placed Miami alongside Cleveland and Philadelphia as ahead of the pack, with teams like Golden State still lacking real traction in trade packages that would even get LeBron paired with another star. So when that Giannis locker room footage surfaced and Caldwell Pope reposted it, and fans started chanting LeBron's name in the replies, it wasn't some random guess pulled out of thin air. It landed on top of a storyline that had already been building for weeks, with real insiders naming Miami as a top-tier landing spot, and real players on record either encouraging it or warning against it. There's also a piece of this that's easy to miss. Giannis himself has already talked publicly about what it was like watching LeBron up close early in his career, long before either of them knew their paths might cross again as actual teammates. He described seeing LeBron and Dwayne Wade up close and realizing he had to get better, recalling a specific moment where LeBron stripped the ball from him mid-drive, and joking that even though his team lost by 30 that night, he still had 11 points and felt good about his own game. That's not a guy who resents the idea of LeBron showing up in his building. That's a guy who's clearly still a little starstruck by the possibility. And LeBron isn't hiding from the idea either. He's been dropping his own hints about what comes after the game itself. At a public event, LeBron teased his own documentary as something to look forward to in his retirement, revealing a crew from NBA Entertainment had already been quietly gathering footage on him for nearly a decade. That timeline matters. It means whatever choice he makes now, wherever he lands, it's being filmed with the assumption that it's building toward the actual end of his story, which makes every appearance at every practice facility leaked or official, feel like a chapter in something much bigger. Once that footage started circulating, reactions came from every direction, and not just from anonymous fans in a comment section. Real people with real connections to this situation started weighing in publicly, and each one added a different layer to the story. Start with Thanasis Antetokounmpo. He's Giannis's own brother, and the two of them had been inseparable for years, with the Bucks specifically working to keep them together on the roster whenever possible. The Bucks had kept the Antetokounmpo brothers together whenever it was possible for them to do so, with Thanasis and Giannis attached at the hip, even though it had become clear the older brother didn't offer much on the court. So when the trade actually happened, Thanasis wasn't just watching from the outside as a fan. He was watching his own basketball life get upended by his brother's decision. He went on his own podcast to address it directly. He revealed he genuinely didn't know the trade between the Bucks and Heat was in the works, saying it was Giannis's business and what he wanted to do. He admitted he was still adjusting to it, calling it hard and exciting at the same time, and saying whoever claims it's not both of those things isn't being honest. That's about as raw a reaction as you're going to get from someone whose own career might now be over because of it. It's more than possible Thanasis' NBA career is simply finished now that Giannis is in South Beach, with the organization reportedly having no plans to bring the older brother along. Then there's the reaction nobody could have scripted. Rick Ross. The rapper is a well-known Heat superfan, and he didn't stay quiet about what he wanted to happen next. He publicly urged LeBron to return to Miami, framing it directly to James as a call from one self-made businessman to another. That's not insider analysis. That's raw fan energy from someone with a massive platform, adding fuel directly onto a fire that was already burning. Not everyone was as enthusiastic. Stephen A. Smith weighed in with a warning of his own, flagging what he described as a real problem team president Pat Riley could run into if LeBron actually does return to Miami. The specifics of exactly what that problem is have been debated across sports media, but the core of it circles back to the same tension Gary Payton raised. 2 stars, 1 basketball, and a roster that already has a defined pecking order, with Giannis and Bam Adebayo at the top of it. Speaking of Adebayo, his name started popping up in a completely different, much messier context that same week, and it's worth understanding because it shapes exactly what kind of locker room LeBron would actually be walking into if he said yes. Every Eastern Conference contender has been watching Miami's locker room chemistry closely, and there's a real reason for that. Every Eastern Conference contender is watching Miami's locker room for a reason. The Heat just bet their future on Giannis, and they're one of 3 teams still standing in the LeBron sweepstakes, alongside the Sixers and Cavaliers. That's the stakes. This isn't a franchise quietly rebuilding in the background. It's one of the most watched rosters in the league right now, with cameras and reporters and fans dissecting every single clip that leaks out. And it's not all flattering. Bam Adebayo actually threw a punch at his former teammate Tyler Herro during a Summer League appearance, and the reaction across the league split into 2 camps almost immediately. A punch thrown between 2 players on different teams, in the offseason at a private practice facility, with no police involvement and a victim who won't cooperate, sits in a situation reporters say has essentially no precedent. Herro, notably, was actually one of the players sent out in the trade that brought Giannis to Miami in the first place, which means this wasn't just a random scuffle. It was 2 former teammates, separated by the very trade that made this whole Giannis storyline possible, running into each other months later with old tension still simmering. Bam Adebayo punched his former Heat teammate Tyler Herro at Summer League after burner account posts had surfaced. Nobody's pretending this was nothing, but nobody's pretending it derailed anything either. No injury was reported, and he was out at the Heat-Bucks Summer League game that same evening, with neither side describing the punch as causing anything beyond obvious embarrassment. But here's the part that ties directly back to the footage conversation. The league office still has real power here if this escalates. The commissioner's office has broad conduct detrimental powers it could invoke anyway, and the existence of surveillance footage means the story is one leak away from reigniting. Sound familiar? That's the exact same dynamic that made the Giannis clips explode in the first place. Private facility footage that the public was never supposed to see, sitting there as a possibility that could resurface at any moment and change the entire conversation overnight. The safest bet around the league is that any punishment, if it comes, will be quiet. And the more lasting cost to both players is simply the week they've spent as the league's soap opera. That's Miami's actual situation right now. It's not one clean storyline about Giannis settling in. and LeBron potentially joining him. It's that story running parallel to real locker room tension. Real punches, real surveillance footage sitting in a drawer somewhere that could leak at any moment. Bam himself even got dragged into a completely separate reaction. Camera caught his face reacting to a shot Pat Riley took at Harrell publicly, and that clip made its own rounds too. Every single person around this Heat facility right now is being filmed, clipped, and picked apart, whether they want to be or not. So let's talk about what this all actually means for the roster Giannis walked into, because the footage of him touring the facility wasn't happening inside some finished, settled locker room. It was happening inside a team still actively being rebuilt around him in real time. Go back to how this trade actually came together. It wasn't a simple two-piece swap. The Heat picked up Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Bucks in exchange for 5 future picks and 4 players. That's a massive chunk of the roster and draft capital, all funneled toward landing one player. Besides Antetokounmpo and Adebayo, Miami's roster still features Davion Mitchell, Pele Larson, Nikola Jovic, Drew Smith, Portis, and potentially Andrew Wiggins if he picks up his player option or works out a new deal. That's not a finished championship roster. That's a foundation, with real financial gymnastics still needed to fill it out. Miami currently projects to have a little over $18 million in flexibility below the first tax apron to fill 4 roster spots, and that figure doesn't even account for 2 other players set to become unrestricted free agents. The Heat will also be hard-capped at the first apron for next season due to how the Giannis trade itself is structured. Now factor LeBron into that math, and you start to see why this isn't as simple as fans reposting a locker room clip and assuming he's walking straight in. A max-level free agent doesn't fit cleanly into a roster that's already hard-capped and stretched thin. Every insider tracking this situation has acknowledged as much, even while still ranking Miami among his most realistic landing spots. There's also the matter of how close Miami actually came to losing Giannis to a completely different team. Giannis was in his final days as a Buck, and given his stature as a 10-time All-Star and 2-time MVP, 2 teams emerged as most likely to acquire him: the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. Boston was prepared to offer star wing Jaylen Brown and a pair of first-round picks, but the Bucks ultimately preferred the mix of young players and draft assets Miami put on the table, with ownership advocating for that package specifically to avoid risking a situation where Brown then sought his own trade out of Milwaukee. That's important context because it means the Heat didn't just win a bidding war on merit alone. Front office politics on Milwaukee's side played a real role, and that kind of close call tends to leave residue. Questions about whether Boston could still make a play down the line, whether this roster construction was truly the optimal outcome, or whether it was simply the safer deal for the team giving Giannis up. Then there's the extension question hanging over everything. Antetokounmpo is eligible to sign an extension starting in the fall, but the strong likelihood is that he waits about 6 months after the trade, which would make him eligible to sign a 4-year deal worth roughly $275 million. That waiting period matters. It means Giannis himself hasn't fully committed his long-term future to Miami yet. Even after physically walking through that practice facility and trying on the jersey, he's watching how this season plays out, watching who else joins him before locking anything in permanently. That single fact reframes every clip from that facility completely. The locker room tour, the Spoelstra reaction shot, the jersey reveal. All of it happened before Giannis has even signed anything beyond the trade itself. He's essentially auditioning this new chapter of his career in real time, on camera, while the front office simultaneously tries to build a roster good enough to convince him to stay long-term. And Pat Riley's track record is exactly why people believe he can pull this off. There's no secret that landing a star like this is what Miami has sought, because it's what Miami usually seeks, having pulled off similar moves landing Shaquille O'Neal in 2004, which helped lead to a championship 2 years later, and by getting LeBron James and Chris Bosh to join forces there before. That history is precisely why fans didn't dismiss the LeBron chatter as some random fantasy the moment it appeared under a repost. Riley has actually done this exact kind of roster construction before, with this exact player, and won a title doing it. The Heat had been trying to land a superstar for years and came up short in their past few attempts, before finally acquiring Antetokounmpo to pair with Bam Adebayo and attempt to rejoin the Eastern Conference's elite. That's the frame everyone in that building is operating under right now. This isn't a finished product. It's a bet, mid-construction, being filmed from every angle. while the front office scrambles to fill out the roster around 2 stars who each need real support to make this work. Which loops right back to why the Adebayo Harrell punch mattered so much in the middle of all this. It wasn't just a random off-season scuffle. It was proof that the emotional residue from this entire roster shakeup, the trade, the departures, the new arrivals, hadn't settled yet. And any footage from inside that building, whether it's Giannis shooting jumpers alone or something far messier, carries the same risk of reshaping the entire storyline overnight. So where does all of this actually leave things, now that the footage has made its rounds and the reactions have piled up? Giannis is in Miami. That part is locked in. The Milwaukee Bucks reportedly agreed to trade franchise cornerstone Antetokounmpo to the Heat. He's been photographed working out, preparing his body for the season ahead. He's getting ready for his Miami Heat era, releasing workout pictures as he prepares for the upcoming season after being traded from Milwaukee. And those photos came directly amid the ongoing chatter about the Heat as one of the potential landing spots for LeBron James. The two storylines have been tangled together from almost the very start. Giannis himself hasn't shied away from that connection either. He's publicly given LeBron credit and effectively welcomed the idea of playing alongside him, right in the middle of all this pitch talk swirling around Miami. That's a 2-time MVP, fresh off leaving the only franchise he'd ever known, actively signaling that he wouldn't mind sharing that same locker room with a player he once described watching in awe as a young pro. As for LeBron, his decision is still open. He's reportedly narrowed his options to 5 teams, with Miami squarely among them. The arguments on both sides haven't gone away. Gary Payton's skepticism about spacing and touches is still out there. Rick Ross is still publicly campaigning for a return. Stephen A. Smith's warning about potential problems for Riley is still sitting in the conversation. None of it has been resolved because LeBron simply hasn't made his call yet. What has changed is the texture of the story. It's no longer just will LeBron pick Miami. It's now layered with everything that's happened inside that facility since Giannis arrived. The locker room tour, Spoelstra's reaction, Thanasis processing the end of his own NBA future, and Bam Adebayo's punch turning the Heat's offseason into a genuine spectacle that every rival team in the East has been watching closely. That last part is worth sitting with because it's the wild card nobody predicted when Giannis first walked into that gym. There's no deadline on the commissioner's conduct powers, and if footage or new details from the punch surface publicly, the calculus around any quiet resolution changes fast. That single sentence describes the entire mood hanging over the Heat facility right now. Every camera pointed at that building carries the potential to reshape the story overnight, whether it's a jersey reveal or something the front office would much rather keep private. Meanwhile, the Bucks side of this story hasn't just faded into the background either. Milwaukee ended up acquiring Nate Ament with one of the picks they received back in the deal, and the front office is already working to build something new out of the pieces they got in return. They also waived Damian Lillard with the stretch provision earlier, which gave them room to sign Miles Turner to a $107 million deal. An impressive piece of cap maneuvering that swapped a player who missed the entire prior season for one who immediately strengthened their front court. So while Miami is busy filming Giannis's first steps in a new jersey, Milwaukee is busy trying to prove the breakup was the right move for both sides. And the timing lines up in a strange way with the extension math too. Giannis is expected to wait roughly 6 months before signing anything long-term with Miami, which means this entire season is effectively a live tryout for him and for the front office both. Every game, every practice clip, every leaked moment from inside that building between now and January carries weight toward whether he signs that extension or starts weighing his options all over again. That's really what this whole footage moment turned out to be. It wasn't just a 2-time MVP touring a new gym. It was the opening scene of a much longer audition, one where LeBron's decision, Bam and Harrell's tension, Thanasis's uncertain future, and Pat Riley's championship history are all playing out inside the same walls, in front of cameras that keep catching more than anyone in that building probably wants them to. Whether LeBron actually walks through those same doors as a teammate rather than a rumor is still an open question, but the footage that started this whole conversation already did its job. It put Miami, Giannis, and LeBron in the same sentence, and now the entire league is watching to see if reality catches up to what those clips seem to promise. Heat rumors. LeBron James's Lakers championship teammate reposting Giannis video leaves fans speculating. Yahoo Sports. A punch at Summer League, why Bam Adebayo decked former teammate Tyler Herro, Leaked video shows Victor Wembanyama's teammate openly recruiting LeBron James to join Spurs. Basketball news. Giannis wears Heat uniform. Checks out locker room in new video after trade from Bucks. Bleacher Report. Giannis drops new workout photos amid LeBron Heat rumors after blockbuster Bucks trade. Bleacher Report. LeBron James rumors. Hoops hype. I saw LeBron up close and way to those guys and I was AOL. Heat news. Thanasis reveals crazy part of Giannis's Miami trade. Clutch points. Giannis Antetokounmpo trade reportedly down to Heat and Celtics. Yahoo Sports. Bucks to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo to Heat. Hoops rumors. Heat acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo in blockbuster deal. NBA.com. Giannis trade decision made by Bucks amid Celtics. Heat rumors ahead of NBA Draft 2026. Bleacher Report. Giannis traded to Heat. Everything we know about pre-draft blockbuster. ESPN. Giannis reportedly traded to Heat amid Celtics rumors. Full return for Bucks ahead of 2026 NBA Draft.